welcome here, everyone. We're excited to get underway. We are here with week number 5 of the Aegis Protector League, 5 of 7 here on the day as teams are ready to lock in their spot for the playoffs. And of course, we have a couple teams that are really at the top of the table and middle of the table, of course, both fighting for their own placements, and I'm excited to get underway. My name is Orbital. With me is Jordan Butt, and we will be your casters for this evening. Jordan, how you doing today?
Super excited to see if Clown Gaming Wranglers can continue bulldozing through the APL competition, or if Dorado Gaming Row are going to have something to say against that.
I know, especially considering the Wranglers are currently 8-0. You heard me correctly. That is not series score, that is game score. They sit atop of their division. Very, very strong squad, and it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon. We've seen them before, and of course, they have always shown up, granted with some a little bit of cheesy picks, which are very fun. However, on the other side, we have Dorado Gaming Row, and for their own benefit, they are sitting at 2-2 and in a little bit worse position. Go ahead and take a look. We got Billy, Cooper, Nightmare Kills, and Barolo with Efron, Warlock, Sunrise, and Induce on that sub roster.
Yeah, they found some decent games under their belt. They're sitting at 2-2 there, and what's really made this team jive is a heavy emphasis on carry junglers, from what I could tell, and mages in the mid lane. You see a lot. It's like looking at these two teams tonight, it's going to be as if they kind of hopped in a time machine and kind of missed the patch where ADCs are kind of considered OP or mandatory in the mid lane. Nightmare is known for a lot of the Victor, Syndra, Hui of the world. Not so much taking upon the ADCs upon himself, but they have found a couple wins under their belt.
And that's a good part. Not only that, they're 2-2, and more surprisingly, they are exactly 5-5, which is not a record of game score that you normally see. Normally, there is a lean either towards one way or the other, whether you win more games or lose, but this is just straight down the middle, and it's very, very nice to see. They are learning, they are attempting to overcome some of those issues. On the other side, though, the Crab Wranglers are going to be putting on a show and a half. At this point, they have locked in their playoff spot. It's just waiting to see where they will place in first, second, or third. We got Stubby, we got Bread, we got Outrage, we got Kiora, and we got Adam in the standard lineup with Notorious, TIP, IRIP. We got Major and Sems as well on that sub roster.
Yeah, looking at this roster top to bottom, it's really, really hard to try to pinpoint sort of a weak point or a side of the map that you want to attack. They're playing carries everywhere. They're playing everything everywhere. Singular Bread just seems to be smurfing on the whole league, and Kiara seems to be one of the biggest beneficiaries from that, dropping double-digit kills in both their wins last week.
It was a crazy one to watch for, and I mean, this squad, Clown Gaming Crab Wranglers, we have essentially watched them just kind of have a blast, and that's what we're hoping to see some of these squads have. But I love the fact that you pointed out earlier that this is going to be a very different set. We're going to see Dorado Gaming kind of take that time warp back in time versus Crab Wranglers, which, I mean, pretty much play whatever is meta. And I have to ask you, do you think that the time warp is going to work, or do we assume that ADCs are just too strong, even with the current patch and the enabling of those ADCs that are just kind of still continue to run over every single lane?
We'll have to wait and see if week 5 is going to be any different, but both Outrage and Nightmare have seemingly opted in towards the mage picks. We've seen a lot of Hui priority, we've seen a lot of Syndra, and Nightmare does love his Victor. So we're going to see if mid lane can kind of stay a little bit quiet. Now, my eyes are going to be down bot lane, as I always find an excuse to look down bot lane, but we've got 2 engaged supports going to be battling it out up against each other, Adam and Barolo, both very well known for early drafting the Nautilus, the Leona kind of thing, and just going fist fight punch for punch down there in the bot lane.
I love that idea. And right now, as we get underway with this draft, you can already see a high priority over those mid lane and jungle mages. I love the call down of the Lilia. It is a very good, I want to say, stylization. Yes, the brand, yes, the Karthus can bring a lot more damage, but the Lilia can set up quite well. I mean, Zyra, even up there, would have been, in my opinion, the stronger AP ban. But heavy bot lane focus, which you talked about, Jordan. I love the fact that Kiora is currently getting target banned. That is where Dorado Gaming are like, yeah, we can't let that through.
Yeah, Kira's been probably the best AD in the APL, if not second best. next to, I believe, Trash Panda, who we saw last week. But his top 2 champions, Caitlyn, MF, off the table. He's not going to be on one of those. He's going to have to find something different to dominate the bot lane with. And that Lilia ban on the other side, Cooper's best champion, where Dorado has looked their strongest, has been with Lilia. So he's going to have to pull something else in the wheelhouse. I expect the Ivern priority to be pretty high among both these teams, as the utility is sort of the next tier down if you can't secure yourself an AP.
I like the fact that you pointed that, because it's triple AD ban, and we're even watching this side of the coin. Hey, it might not be an Ivern or anything, but the Zac ban out here tossed into the top jungle role. Crab Wranglers have been known to do a little bit of cheese, but because of that Zac, the Misfortune, and that Caitlyn, the Ezreal is still standing up to this test of time. Yes, you took about 10% off of that scaling with the Mystic Shot. That's not exactly a blow to an Ezreal player if you know how to play the champion well. So immediately napped up, and now Dorado Gaming had to go, well, crap, what do we want to play into this?
Yeah, a lot of these patches have come through and not much has changed. Ezreal is still absolutely really good, and Leona just got tagged a little bit, most specifically her late game damage, so her first 6 levels are basically the same. So I expect to see Ezreal. Is it going to be a Leona takeaway from the side of Dorado, or are the Crab Wranglers going to secure that for themselves? That is a very early jinx, and there we see the Ivern.
I love the fact that you pointed out you are psychic in this role. It is Ivern to come out and to be able to shield. However, that does lend to a very passive early game start. The Ivern, yes, you can gank, but it's mid to late where we get to see a lot of that power. So Crab Wranglers, do you want to go on the offensive? Do you want to try and put power? You can grab your favorite support here, the Nautilus, Leona, like you mentioned. We have seen some upcroppings of silliness come about depending on how you want to pair it with an Ezreal. However, the brand is going to try and burn the forest if given the possibility, sent into that jungle or possibly harvested in that mid lane. We have seen some people, I've seen it across some leagues, where you decide to flex it if you so wish, maybe bring an engaged jungler in there if you deem it necessary. So maybe can be considered a flex. I would assume this is still jungle though.
Yeah, I'd assume it's still jungle. Faded Ashes just seems to be so good at getting that clear off. So we're going to have to see what happens there. But I typically see Ivern as the counter to Brand. You can talk to different junglers and you get different answers, but maybe they just value the AP jungle's power so high. They mainly don't really care what Dorado has on their side. They're just securing power for themselves. As we see the Leona, that's kind of some questions answered for us. Adam absolutely loves this champion. Ezreal, Leona, iconic bot lane, such strong power there, and to try and put the shield up and shut the door on some Clown Gaming aggression is going to be Braum.
And I like this call down. You go ahead and match the pickup so far, and now this next set of bans is going to be evened out across that top and mid. It really will be in Dorado Gaming's favor of where do you want to put a lot of your power? Where do you actually want to give this counter pick and matchup to? And for Crab Wranglers, I'm pretty sure either end is going to be very favorable. We've seen both their solo lanes also have a lot of power. I like the fact that the hover of that Yone just recently got some love in the patch, but of course not enough to push it into that A tier ranking. You do want to focus down that mid lane hamper of the Victor. It is such a good all around, and as we mentioned, a huge mainstay for Dorado Gaming. You don't want to give them that freedom. I would assume this is locked in. No, it's going to be swapped back, and it's the Yone to be banned instead. Way on the other end though, this was one that Crab Wranglers like to use if you don't want to run an ADC mid. Still though, Victor on the table for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, taking out that Yone, it just gets really, really scary when you've got the amount of shielding coming in from the Ivern. Ivern is such a good enabler of so many different champions, and I like that you point out that it's a passive start from Dorado. There's not a lot of proactivity in their draft so far. So looking towards these later picks, I'm going to be looking for Nightmare to pick something up with some form of pick tool or CC. I'm thinking something along the lines of Syndra, but I do see that it's already banned, so the pool is getting pinched. So what will he secure himself on the R4 slot here?
I'm not too sure because it is rolling a little bit further down. The Lucian now taken away, very high carry potential being denied here, and I like the fact that you two go for the Lucian. It has been such high priority lately. But with this funnel, Crab Wranglers are actually leaning into that Victor pickup, saying, hey, for Dorado Gaming, you got to pick this one up. We're banning everything else. We have an answer for the Victor, but we are going to take it kind of in tow, and I actually really like that. Crab Wranglers identified, hey, if you grab the Victor, that is one of your best, but it's something that we can deal with. We can't deal with these other things. So we're going to try and bait you into this situation if you go ahead and pick it up. Let's see if Dorado Gaming fall for it, or if they pick it up of their own volition, say, hey, we know what you're aiming for, and it's not going to be that you go for that Corki, which once again can utilize that Ivern buff and get a little bit extra shielding and output a lot of damage.
Yeah, you've got another auto attacker for the Braum passive. So far, it's a really just solid composition coming in from Dorado if they can pilot it to a high enough level and keep up with what Clown Gaming Wranglers are going to be throwing at them. It's looking pretty bright for their future right now. A lot of scaling, a lot of go buttons is maybe where they're a little bit shy. But Nightmare has specifically picked the Corki in the past, and they did look good on it. So it is a good look for them.
The Ornn coming in here, getting some beefiness, and I like this. Crab Wranglers saying, yo, that's all we want. We want to get that good front to back if we need that option. And of course, the ornaments don't hurt either. This is the big part, though. What do you want to take into the Corki? We've seen Azir be the like of an answer. Sometimes I don't think it does as well anymore. It turns into just this, hey, what do you want to play? And there's a little bit of the cheese. If this is locked in, we know Crab Wranglers love to throw some, little moments into the mix. It is locked in, so that I'm pretty sure is a Malphite mid against the Corki. Bring it on. The Wranglers are going to wrangle.
Yeah, if you're looking at the top side of your screen, you're going to see a lot of mid lane bans. That's something that usually isn't sort of the draft focus. I see a lot of AD carry bans nowadays, but maybe the teams have the read on each other that you will pick exactly these champions, and then below that, you just have to go for the rock solid. So it's going to be likely Outrage piloting the Malphite. He sees a lot of armor stacking potential, not a lot of damage sources, but the Swain on R5 coming in for Billy is going to be a spicy one.
If you send that top lane, all of a sudden things get messy. You're running melees in the solo lanes, which means for the early efficiency, Crab Wranglers are going to be stuck under their towers, and that'll be on the Brand and the Ezreal to really start trying to press forward. We know Brands love to farm, but I like this answer. For Dorado Gaming, they're saying, hey, we can cheese just as well, and we have a lot more on the line. They are 2-2. Remember, they need these wins as much as possible to get away with it. So let's start with Dorado Gaming. We talked about the Ivern and the mixture in there. This Swain last pick, do you like it in this matchup or in the vacuum of Dorado Gaming's other 4 picks?
When I'm staring at the right side composition, I just see an entire lack of agency. So I don't understand their composition on when we're going to come online and do something. On the side of the Clown Gaming Wranglers, as much as I dislike Malphite mid as a champion, they have infinite go buttons, right? And in the APL, what we've seen in the past, the games that we've casted side by side, it's been the team that has the most proactivity that just seems to come out on top more often than not. So much forgiveness there. Like Leona's going to be throwing out a solar flare every 90 seconds, so Jinx's life is going to be very difficult. Corki has a lot of tools. There's a lot of protection on the side of Dorado, but I don't see the Swain being able to survive the upfront damage and burst coming from. They have mixed damage. They have the AP threat. They have the AD threat. So you're going to have to look at Dorado to be able to sort of find some skirmishes or angles to maybe get a lead in this game, because the tank busting, maybe it comes online super late, but the Clown Wranglers have drafted themselves a very scary composition and something they're good at.
That worries me as well. Now, taking a look on the side of Crab Wranglers, I do feel as much as they have the agency, we know that they like to play a little bit over aggressive at points. They love to get a little bit scrappy, especially if they're in their lead. They're going to get silly and they're going to get maybe into a pothole. Do you see that being an issue this time around, considering the champions that they have picked? You mentioned they have the go buttons. It should be relatively easy to sync themselves up come that mid game, right?
Orbital, that's a really good point, because Singular Bread, almost all of their wins, he's been playing a very low econ style and just been smurfing the map. Like he's been ganking top, he's been ganking mid, he's been ganking bot, he's been ganking everywhere. And these AP jungles, well, while they can do that, where they really shine is their farm efficiency. So can Singular Bread change his mentality from perma gank, perma pressure, sack myself, and be that carry that the Wranglers are going to need this game? Because if Malphite is the utility pick, you've got utility top, and then you've got the carry jungle, it's a very different look for them. So my biggest question is Singular Bread going to be disciplined enough to look for those farm angles 10 CS a minute?
Well, I love you to death, Jordan. Yeah, I was looking at it. I wasn't even sure.
Oh no.
We have gotten some other spice in there. That is an orange jungle, if we are looking at this correctly. Now, granted, they still have time to swap a little bit inside of the in-game client. They still have a chance to swap it around. However, this now throws a hamper in a lot of what we were talking about. We mentioned the Malphite being able to farm up, get into that mid to late, and that would be a good time even against the Corki. No, you're against the Swain. Things are problematic. The Ornn now trying to farm up in their own right still leans into a little bit of that ganking. Yes, we'll get levels and the like, but there's the differences. And then, as I mentioned, the brand flex into the mid lane against the Corki. All right, Jordan, let's have you break it down again. What do you think?
Yeah, toss our previous analysis out the window. Everything has changed. Singular Bread is so good at tank junglers. Like, he's drawn the Zac respect ban. He's pulled out the Sedge. He's pulled out the Poppy. He's done it all. And Ornn is just, it might just be one of those.
What are they doing?
They're swapping champs around. So I don't even think it's worth it to really talk about it until that 20-second mark. I believe that is when it has to be solidified. So it might still be Malphite mid. But Cloud Gaming Wranglers already in draft. You can already tell they're feeling themselves and they're coming in bolstering confidence. Is that maybe a little bit cockiness? Is that going to get punished by Dorado? We're going to have to see if Dorado can attack the map in a way that makes sense and try to play to their own win conditions.
The crazy thing is, it's scary to see Crab Wranglers, and they can actually induce fear into us in the fact that they can have those champions in those positions still be really, really scary. As much as I want to lean into, as you were saying, hey, Dorado Gaming maybe punish this arrogance, they have a right to be arrogant. There's a difference with arrogance for arrogance sake and arrogance because you are on that top spot, because you have not dropped a single game thus far in this regular season. Crab Wranglers are a team to fear, and the respect handed over, I think, is going to be much more different. With that being said, Jordan, I gotta ask you, at the end of the day, nameplates off, because in my brain I already know who I'm leaning towards just because of the records. With these compositions, who do you like more? Do you like Dorado Gaming's or do you like the Crab Wranglers?
I gotta go with the Crab Wranglers for the reason that I just I stated before, that they have so many pick tools, so many engage tools, so many buttons to press at many phases of the game. I don't like that they're all AP. Merc Treads is too valuable in this game for the opposing team. However, on the side of Dorado, I love playing Ivern when there's a bruiser top lane going forward. I don't know if that's Swain. I love playing Ivern with an engaged support that's going to go forward and make use of my trigger seed, right? I don't think that's Braum, right? So I love the protect theme that they've gone for. However, I think it limits their ability to have agency on the Rift at very key moments in this game. So around Drake timers, around these grubs, around Herald, is Dorado going to be able to kind of get it all together? Because you got to hit every skill shot. These you do not have buttons that are point and click, right? So that's where I'm at.
Hey, listen, 100% behind you on that one, and we talked about it before, and we'll see if the teams can do it as well, because the draft themselves leave us scratching our heads, but we know the players themselves are the ones to watch for. Granted, if you want to learn how to draft a little bit better, maybe in your solo queue games or anything like that, we have the group for you. ProComps has been so awesome in sponsoring a lot of the Aegis leagues here today, and they have some of the best tools to go ahead and give you a little bit of the tactical advantage in your games as best as possible. So go ahead, take a look, see what they have to offer, and see if you'll download it, because ProComps is pretty dang cool. Check them out.
Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the league community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream.
Your pain.
And off we go for game number 1. Once again, the Crab Wranglers are going to be on that blue side, repping from Clown Gaming. On the other side, Dorado Gaming Row are going to give it their best shot at breaking their 2-2 tie and hoping for a third series win. It's a tall task, though, extremely tall task for them to be able to come in for a victory. Of course, with a little bit of cheesiness, maybe you can get that advantage. Remember, you got the Braum, you got those passive sacks if you wish, and maybe you can get some roots of your own, as Outrage is going to be outraged by losing a decent chunk of their HP bars. Just going to recall and go ahead and get back. Still, though, that's going to be a majority share of this early game.
Yep. The real thing that we need to highlight there is that Billy got his first Swain stack of the game, so he's probably saying, GG, we can't lose at this point. He's got such a mental edge over his opponent to be able to farm that stack, so he's going to be stacking on Ornn throughout the lane phase. We'll have to keep an eye on where he's at with all of his options in this game. As we talked about, the Dorado comp is a little bit limiting. They do have to group and show up to objectives first in order to execute their composition properly. The question is going to be, is Billy going to be able to utilize the power of the Iron Shields to kind of bulldoze his way through all the CC and all the go buttons on the side of the Wranglers?
It's such a tough task to get through. Of course, one of the ways that you can get a little bit silly is Adam trying to get into the mix early, or of course getting bullied out by Sunrai and kills. And both of these, you know, the Jinx on bottom lane is one to be reckoned and feared with. Of course, if you play it wrong, things can get out of hand very, very quickly. With the wards, though, both junglers are spotted out and identified in how they want to rotate. Of course, with an Ivern, it's a whole different story. You got to watch where they're planting a lot of their small pieces and making sure that they get those releases of the camps. Either way, both junglers going to be full clearing to start this off.
Yeah, so the question is Singular Bread going to be able to play that high econ game that Brand oh so loves? Once he pays for that Leandries and that Rylai's, he's really online as a character. But if he kind of stumbles in his early game and goes for too many ganks or low econ plays, sacks himself, the game can look a little bit weird. Because again, you've got that Malphite mid, that Ornn top, you've got a lot of utility, a lot of facilitate, a lot of go buttons, but you need that AP threat damage coming in from Singular Bread on the Brand. And then we already talked about it before, Kiora, we expect him to control that bottom lane.
Oh my lord, I'm loving, honestly, I'm watching all this bullying going on, and it's very, very silly to watch. It is, I thought Stubby was gonna flash for it just to get silly because you had the unsealed spellbook. I was like, don't do it, but at the same time, it can get messy. And at the current moment, both junglers are fully completing their clears. You can see that Bread is currently on their last camp. And with that deep ward, or I wouldn't say deep ward, but a decent ward from Kills and Sunrise, you should be able to see through that try. As their solo lanes, Crab Wranglers are kind of stuck in the low HP variant. Billy trying to step forward, but tagged up. One more flash. And that was a dangerous one. Stubby trying to flash up for the Q, and instead Billy flashed away.
Yeah, Billy playing that dangerous game on that Swain early, trying to farm as many stacks and CS as possible, not trying to give anything away. And Stubby tries to go for lethal there, flash for flash, pretty well executed on both sides. The teleport's going to be blown. He does have that sort of get out of jail free card, so he's going to be feeling decent about that one. Bot Crab went over to the Ivern. He was able to tap smite it, I do believe, with the bot prio temporary as it was from kills there.
At that time, it's just going back to quiet. One of the big things is Outrage, of course, getting, well, surprisingly still in a very even state with those minions. Of course, the big wave building up means that Induce is going to have a really, really good time. But considering how quiet it is at the start, as I say that, Adam jumping forward, and the reason is, I'm not sure you want to dive into that right away, but you do eat a little bit of damage. Kiora is able to fire back, and that leaves us top lane into a little bit of a dizziness. Cooper realizing it's a 3-on-1, and yeah, burn the flash early. Very well done from Crab Wranglers.
Yeah, he goes for that double crab and does end up getting punished for it. I was going to highlight that Singular Blade did go for the early recall and wasn't able to complete Faded Ashes, which is the main item behind those AP junglers being able to accelerate through the jungle clear. So that's going to feel a little bit slower than normal, not being able to get that bot crab due to the lack of bot priority. Kills and Sunrise are doing pretty well there, as we're seeing a little bit more exchange in the top lane, but Singular Bread is here.
And of course, it's really just to run the opponents off of your Ornn, because level 6 has not been hit. Neither side really has kill threat unless you make a gigantic error. But also without flash, those errors are far and few between at the current moment. So just keep it in pace, keep it in line, and no one is the wiser. Level 6 being hit by Induced, going ahead and putting themselves into nice spots, and actually didn't recall as well. Said, hey, you know, the Malphite hasn't recalled either. It's only level 5. I'm going to go ahead and push this wave.
Yeah, and as we're racing through this early game, the grubs are spawning in about 15 seconds. You're going to want to keep your eye on the solos of the Wranglers. Once you get access to the Ornn ultimate and the Malphite ultimate, the entire game has to change, right? No one can play the same, and Just Cooper not having the access to that flash, he's going to be on the back foot for a little bit.
Ugh. This is going to be a whole difference. I'm excited to see where the breaking point comes for all of these squads. That's my main goal, is just, hey, where does this kind of break apart? Where do the teams start to feel it's out of control? I want to know, especially with an Infernal, to start things off. I'm very surprised that we haven't seen a move to either the Dragon or the Grubs. Just, I don't know. I feel like it'd be touched on at least a little bit earlier. At the current moment, though, Just Cooper dropping a little bit of pink ward, said, hey, I'll take that enemy ward out, and now we are safe. Stubby trying to go in, get a little bit of damage, but instead it's Billy to land a lot of that burn.
Yeah, it looks like Dorado's going to opt in for sort of a 1-for-1 objective. They're going to be able to secure the Dragon for themselves. Kills has been doing well to obtain bot lane priority. Was able to chunk Kiora out of lane and force a recall. So that's good for them. On the opposite side, Singular Bread on the brand absolutely loves doing the grubs. When you get the triple passive, all of the grubs are burning each other. The clear speed is insane, and it's also the more gold intensive and XP intensive objective of the two. So when you're playing that selfish brand that has to get items, has to get online, that's kind of where you want to be. But Adam looking for a little bit of volatility here.
A little bit too far forward, but with that unbreakable wall, you are okay. Of course, the ignite goes down, which means you have to run away. And that's a whole difference here. Topside, we're still seeing that dance, but if Adam was level 6 earlier, that would have been a very dead Sun, Ryan. That is a scary prospect.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. They played that rather well. Adam knowing his limits and knowing where to stand in the bush there. Trying to be cheeky and stop another recall. Mid lane's going to be quiet for the most part. It is a Malphite, so we're going to have to wait for him to group onto Singular Bread, and that's are they going to look to dive top lane? Are they going to look to play around one of these objective timers? Is just going to be flow scaling until team fights. That's kind of their name of the game so far.
Well, of course, Just Cooper trying to break that name of the game. That's going to be a nice little stun. Shoot shot barrage at his first blood. We were worried about it as soon as level 6 hits, and now you can actually turn on it right now. That's going to be a good W. A final few lands, and you get the last mystic shot in auto, and it's done. It's a double kill for Kiora in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, the Cloud Gaming Wranglers didn't really do anything special right there. Their opponents just kind of tried to force. They might be feeling the early pressure. Just again, from the standings alone, like, this is a very tough matchup that they're up against, and it looks like there's going to be more. There's a part 2 to this one.
Oh, it very much is the top 2, and no flash, no nothing. You are burned, you are dead. Singular Bread able to pick that one up, and it was an easy one as well. Outrage getting that flash early and very, very quickly. Oh no, don't do it, Stubby. Don't do it, Stubby. You missed the R! You missed the R! You know what? Ignite works. Ignite works, you're good, but my god, it's kills across the board.
Okay, mechanical misplays across the board. However, they got the job done. And like we talked about in draft, Wranglers have all the buttons right now. They had their Malphite ult, boom, we're going in. They have their Ornn ult, boom, we're going in. And Dorado in that window, the area of the map that they were able to attack with numbers was actually the bot lane, and due to the Braum not being able to get the shield up in time to block the Ezreal ult, it just went complete from bad to worse. When the Braum goes down that early in the skirmish, Kiora can suddenly E forward onto the Jinx. Jinx does not get flash off, and it becomes just an easy double kill for that Ezreal on the weak side.
I mean, I'm terrified. Kiora's no need for Singular Bread to be down there either. This is just going to be awful if Kiora is allowed to roll on through. And I'm kind of watching this in bated breath as well. With the Dragon going down in Dorado Gaming's favor, you're looking at the next 2 minutes. Hey, are you going to get the second one like you would naturally be able to pick up? Or are you actually zoned out early and denied that second and maybe lose out on the grubs as well? That's my other question here. As also in the mid lane, Outrage is full on zoning off Induce, which is wild to say as a Malphite. Another knock up in the top side as Stubby's just trying to have presence and just own this top lane.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it feels like Induce is kind of just playing a losing game here. Outrage is able to obtain armor faster than Induce can get any kind of real items together. So we're already looking at over a 2,000 gold lead for the Wranglers, and it might not even stop there as the top laners are trying to fight to the death once again.
Well, one of them's to death. Stubby's just like it's a walk in the park another day. There is no to death when you still have, what, 8/10 of your HP left? That was a weird number. 4/5. There we go. That's a little bit better. Right now, taking a look at everything on the board, though, Crab Wranglers have not played outside of the thought. Their measured patience has only gotten cleaner over the last 4 weeks, and I'm really, really liking this. We're not seeing them take any excessive gambles. They're not trying to get crazy with it or anything of the sort. They're just playing very measured, and whenever they can, get some kills, which I very much appreciate.
Yeah, I actually like that point you just made, because Singular Bread has historically just kind of sacked a lot of the jungle tempo for the benefit of his laners. And in this draft that they've picked for themselves, the script is reversed, and he's playing the brand very well. His only gank mid was just pure efficiency, right? Kira's going to be able to sneak away from this one, just trying to maximize poke. But Adam's actually in so much trouble.
Oh, this is actually really, really dangerous. You don't have flash or anything and no one else to back you up, so that will be a kill. Solar Flare just kind of for the memes at the end of the day. Kills is able to grab one, and that is also right before Dragon. Very nice pickup for Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, that's actually really nice, because I was starting to get worried for Dorado, saying, how are you going to get into this game? You have lost a lot of your lane matchups, and your composition doesn't really come together as five. We're gonna have to see if Dorado is going to be able to sort of out teamwork their opponents when it comes to team fights. But that pickup in the bot lane from Adam's mispositioning, or maybe just overreach for some of that vision, is actually going to cost them this Dragon. Or so we think.
Maybe they can run. Yeah, so we think.
They're 2v4 right now. Oh, here comes the teleport.
Bring it on a little bit more. Kills is not going to get away. And follow up behind with the flash, but another knock behind leads to death. It's a duo of the tanks on the poor ADC, and everyone hates that feeling. That is going to be a singular kill, and that's all you need to rip Dragon Control right back.
Yeah, that's going to feel absolutely awful. And Malphite's actually just going to TP top lane to mitigate the cross map option for Dorado. So the situation just went from bad to worse again. The team fights for the Wranglers, kind of what we talked about in draft. The Wranglers have Infinity Go buttons right now. Their composition's already online, which is going to feel really nice. Like we talked about, just agency on the map. What can Dorado really do? So if we're asking ourselves, let's run it. One of the players, what are we initiating with? We're initiating with an Ivern Q or a Braum Q, right? And that just doesn't sound very threatening to most of the Wranglers. Like, Kiora doesn't care, he's going to E out of it, and then the rest that you're looking at are mostly tanks. So is Singular Bread going to find himself up the river without a paddle? I don't think so. So we're going to have to see how this the rest of this early game plays out, because it's been the gold is still within 2K, so there's a silver lining here.
It's the silver lining we say is it's doable. Is it a tough task? Yes, but it's doable. Of course, at the current moment, you just have to take a moment to breathe. The nice part on the bottom side, we are watching, kills keep up in pace, which is nice for a Jinx. Either way, you're very happy with the current situation, or I wouldn't say happy, but content with the fact that you haven't given over more kills. There was only one mistake, and Crab Wranglers have not been able to force more measures in that bottom lane. But you can see that, Just Cooper is trying their best to try and get something else on the map. You mentioned before the likes of the Ivern just not having any go buttons is starting to really show, even though basically if Crab Wranglers want to go slow, the entire game goes slow. If Crab Wranglers want to go fast, the game goes fast, and Dorado Gaming don't really have any sort of option. As topside, we're actually seeing another chance of flash out from Billy thanks to Stubby, who takes negative damage at this point.
Yeah, it just feels like wherever Dorado go, the Wranglers are there one step ahead. Kiora is going to get run off. He is a little bit on the wrong side of the map. How is he going to get out of this one? We'll have to wait and see. But the brawl ball goes wide.
Well, it wasn't just wide. It's just Kiora got onto that Wind Drake side and was able to gun it away. Now, of course, now you get chased down. Solar Flare is just going to be used as a consolation prize, and down goes Kiora. So once again, a very small error, but collapsed on by Dorado Gaming in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's actually a big punish because he did have a shutdown on his head. Now, as I say that, the shutdown did go to the Ivern, whose items are pretty cheap. He doesn't want the gold. It's one of his voice lines either way. So feels a little bit bad to where the gold is going to go, but you know, more shields might allow kills to survive a Malphite ult one of these days. The silver lining here is definitely Mercury Cheds in this game is insanely valuable. So you already see 2 pairs picked up on the side of Dorado. I expect at least a third, maybe a fourth. So that's where the gold efficiency does help them with the composition difference, just being mostly AP damage that you're going to be receiving. So we'll have to see if they can turn that into some form of an advantage, but I do like that they're at least posturing on the map in a way that can threaten certain players. Like Kiara was disrespectful on the weak side here and did get punished for it.
Now, to be fair, we do have to mention that Merchandise just received a very slight nerf in the most recent patch. I believe the cost was upgraded. It was difficult for some people to buy. Now, it also shows that the whole thing is the dev team wanted to make sure that merchants were a little bit harder to buy as a first item. People still buy boots first, right? That's what we're seeing here. And
yeah.
But we do have to mention that it does not have as much power as it used to have. Still an amazing item by choice though, and I do agree that can be the make or break piece. Just Cooper though roaming into the mid lane trying to help induce themselves after getting ganked early, has only just completed their Triforce, still trying to stack their tier. And we're hoping that this Corki can come online just in time with kills for the following objectives. We are seeing a little bit of a roam down, but this time Kiora and Adam will not be caught.
Yeah, so you see Singular Bread teaming up with Outrage to establish some kind of mid push. Are they going to try and get Adam down into bot side river to get some wards down? Right now, it's just a Herald summon into a turret take. But yeah, the Brand hopping into the Herald at this point, this should be dangerous, but it goes to show that Dorado has not drafted themselves a lot of ways to punish a Brand maybe overextending like that.
Overextensions can be so dangerous, and right now it can be even more so. Remember the last time this dragon was up, even though Dorado were able to find one singular kill onto Adam early, it didn't really mean much in taking control over this dragon space. With 25 seconds left, it's going to be first brick to the side of the Crab Wranglers. They take it in the mid lane. Bottom side though, TP coming in here, and that should be that Ornn getting messier. The Malphite, I do apologize. Outrage ready to hammer home a shot, and take a look at this. You can actually tower dive this. It could be so dangerous. But of course, Singular Bread walking their way up, saying, no, you don't get that chance. So another tower goes down. Crab Wranglers now converge on Dragon.
And now you just say to yourself as Dorado, how do we ever retake bot river if we want to contest this dragon? Thankfully, it's only the second stack, so this is a very giveable dragon. But if they flirt with this for much longer, Wranglers are just going to go.
I mean, they're already chunking it down. 5k, big TP coming in here. Outrage looking on the flank, and if given the option, it will be painful. Good little burn on side, but this is going to be a split. Take a look at how hard this split currently is. It's only 4 fighting on a 4.5 situation in favor of Crab Wranglers, but that's going to be the burn. Final auto side goes down, and that's going to be Dragon taken by Crab Wranglers because they have 2 in their pocket, but a huge knockup brings about the end of their days. Dorado Gaming lose out hope. Row is lost. What a catch! Adam with the extended Zenith play is killed, and Death and Beyond double kill for Stubby. The unsealed spellbook brings doom, and Crab Wranglers take the fight and then some.
Yeah, Wrangler's going to come out on top of that one, looking absolute unstoppable. With an unstoppable force, they absolutely pull the trigger. They're looking decisive on the Rift, the way they normally are, and Dorado just don't have the answers, whether it's a comp diff or whether it's a teamwork gap. They were able to say, this is our dragon. You're not coming into this zone of control. Jinx is completely zoned off, and then when the team fight starts, Jinx has exactly 3 seconds to try and find that reset onto the tanky members of the Wranglers. Wasn't able to, and 4 kills go down because of it.
It was just a wild situation to be in, and you mentioned it before. The fact that Dorado Gaming have had issues having an engaged tool, they literally let Malphite walk into the middle of them and ult just kind of face first. I think that was like a 2-inch ultimate. It was wild to watch. that can happen again. It is so scary. Crab Wranglers at this point have a ballooning gold lead of 5k. It will not end anytime soon. Stubby is on their second item at this point, unkillable in the current carry for the rest of the team. And with this Baron coming up, I wouldn't be surprised to see a fluctuation of Crab Wranglers with their kind of movements towards the top side to look at an early Baron.
Yep, no, I couldn't agree more. So right now, Dorado just have to lick their wounds and they have to concede most of the map, try to mitigate the loss, and maybe try to respond to an Baron attempt. Billy's going to get chunked out, but the bot lane is absolutely up here and they're looking for your top tier 1 tower. Excuse me.
There's only so many towers currently left in the game that I don't doubt you for trying to figure out which one that was. It's like we've had so many go down so quickly, especially in the mid and bot side. Well, I say so many, but the 2 drops so fast that we have to remember that it's really only been Billy's HP bar that has dropped so quickly. Now we're going to see a catch though, and that's going to be a huge ascendance coming out. Billy is going to survive for a little bit longer, but the true shot barrage has to be watched away from, but the burn is going to be more than enough with a snipe from the back line. Singular bread gets a singular knockup and then a follow through as Stubby comes in from the brushes. It's a final missile shot to end it, and it is so dang clean from the Crab Wranglers as they wrangle about what could be a game 1 victory. Kills can do nothing against a fed Malphite, and you are just dead in the water. The only one alive is Induce, who wisely, or maybe not so wisely, was stuck in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's going to feel so bad, and it's going to end up being Baron number 1 on the table. Don't think Dorado is going to have anything to say to this. They said that top lane tower, we are absolutely defending it with our lives. And they tried, and the Wrangler said, we have all the answers. We're going to bring Stubby behind your tower, and you're going to have no escape. So it is just going to be Wranglers taking a 9,000 gold lead, commanding lead, reminding us why they are at the top of the table in the APL.
Oh my god, it ain't stopping anytime soon. At this point, it is a mark of shame that Kiora and Adam both have a death in some of the worst options possible. Remember, they both died getting caught out, and you're just like, dang, if we didn't do that, this would have been like a perfect game.
Yep. Self-inflicted deaths right there, just kind of wandering through bot river without your team. So Dorado, you got to start looking towards maybe game 2. What did we do wrong this game? I like to see a very different composition with some more buttons. That's the main difference that I see. Even if the Wranglers are overextended, even if they are playing too cocky on the map with not the right amount of numbers or cooldowns, Dorado can't punish. That's what we're seeing right now from their lack of agency on the map. They don't have any buttons to press.
Nope. And it goes right back to what you talked about in that draft phase. There are no go buttons. It feels like they have no agency currently in the game, and it just allows for this free fire siege, which in a 2v3 situation feels like it's a 4-on-3. Dorado Gaming have to give way. They have no way to deny, and they just have to let it fall. It fell so quickly, as well as now there's a catch on Induce. Induce having to run away. Solarfo lands onto the Braum with the wall up. Sunrise is fine. But of course, that leaves you high and dry from the upcoming siege of this inhibitor tower, which Dragon up in just 25. It's really up to Crab Wranglers how they want to play these next few minutes.
Yeah, I love that Wranglers are kind of ignoring the Dragon as an idea and just pushing towers right now. You just want to balloon that gold lead because right now the items, if you check the items on the carries, it is kind of close to items to do, but here we go again.
As soon as the tower goes down, it's an open celebration of destruction. Outrage was waiting for that point. I'm pretty sure Outrage would have dove even if the tower was still up.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. I was yapping my mouth off, but every single player on the Wranglers have some form of long form CC or long form engage. And so whenever Adam or Outrage find their moment, or Stubby find their moment, they just send it and a target will disappear.
This is as clean as you can get right now. Crab Wranglers are, you said it earlier, just powerful squad here, knowing what they need to do, showing that they are top first for a reason. 4-0, 8-0, true shot barrage from the far end, and a snipe with the Oran Horn. You don't even gotta touch that strategist to delete their strategy. Go ahead, pile drive that tower into the ground. Crab Wranglers are going to ensure that they are miles ahead at a 13,000 gold lead at 24.5 minutes.
Yeah, the last little bit of their Baron buff is actually going to break the final turret. If they get the third inhib, you have to assume that this game is already over.
There ain't no way, honestly. I mean, Crab Wranglers, I'm terrified to see what happens when they lean forward in the gaming chair. This feels like they're leaning back. This feels like they're just chilling. They are wandering away when they know they have the damage. They're just like, do we really want to force it?
Wait.
Not really.
Orbital Induce has definitely taken coaching session from Nice, studying his macro, and he has snuck the dragon. It is going to be the second Cloud Dragon of the game going on to Dorado's members. The move speed is going to be slightly more than they had before, but it had an objective bounty on it as well. So you're seeing item completions just down. It's Christmas right now is what Induce is saying in the comms.
Listen, I got the dragon, guys. What happened to our base? Well, crap. There are some problems. All in all, though, Dorado Gaming, I can't sit here and say that they made exceptional issues in the late game. They haven't caused themselves to fall further and further behind. It's just, it feels like Crab Wranglers literally strangled their hopes and dreams. And yes, it comes from the draft, but I have to give props. Dorado Gaming aren't exactly, I want to say, stepping forward like we saw Kiora and Adam do. We haven't seen them step out of sight as quickly as possible. It has been, hey, let's group together and let's try and fight it. So at least they got that going for them.
Yep, no, you're absolutely right. They did play within their realm of control. This is a composition that is definitely like earns them some style points. They can win through many different means. So this is really scary when you're thinking about playoff prospects. They're going to try and siege the base, but again, yeah, if their sort of wheelhouse is too big, you're looking at maybe some APL finalists or maybe even champions here. As Adam is going in for the final engage.
Yeah, I would say champions. They want champions. Look at the one-man ultimate. Our Aegis is like, yo, I don't need a multi-man, even though a multi-man was there. Just crush the opposition. Double kill for Kiora as Crab Wranglers, once again, a sub 27-minute victory. They are looking so dang clean here in week 5 of the APL.
Yep, but it is young in the night, and a series does take multiple games to win. So the question is going to be, is Dorado able to kind of regroup their mentalities and get back to basics, maybe grab themselves some go buttons? Because I think they really fell apart in draft. When you start going through the pick order and you start thinking about your lane matchup a little bit too much, sometimes you lose sight of the greater composition, and they had no engage, right? That no one's looking at this composition and saying, oh yeah, you guys have many different ways to play out the map. No, you can't really fall behind with this composition when you don't have any hard CC, right?
I mean, you take a look at that gold graph, and I think it says everything, and I think you hit the nail on the head, and there was nothing else to mention. Right now, Dorado Gaming Row have to go back to the drawing board, or else they will fall to a 5-7 game record and a 2-3 series record. Let's see if they can pull that off, and let's see if they can bring something else home and push us to a game number 3. We'll be right back with some more APL action in just a bit.
odds move closer, but with a deeper sweat. Oh, beneath them we look on. When they part comes the hatred they bring. Lost in the dark, we've come so far. Another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till your last day. 'Cause only nightmares break their face. So stand by these.
And we are back, ready to go for game number 2. And my God, Crab Wranglers, they have stolen the show on so many occasions. And tonight is no different. A very slow, methodical early game, but punishing some of the early, step ups, especially in the bottom lane. Kiora getting a double kill. This is the Crab Wranglers that we know. And for Dorado Gaming Row, Jordan, I gotta ask, where are we looking for in the draft? Because I know that you mentioned it previously, but where specifically do you want to see those changes?
I want to see it coming from support, first off, and I want to see some engage. Brello has been really good at engage champs in the past, going for more of a protect counter pick in the Braum, which again puts more pressure on the other sides of the comp. When you're drafting these 80 carries mid, we saw it from the Corki, no CC there. You're drafting a counter pick Swain R5 that got flexed around, like just the draft went haywire, and I feel like they didn't have any clear phases of the draft. You can usually look at a draft and say, oh, at R3 we should have done this instead. I don't think they had any phases that were necessarily winning.
It's a tough one to kind of think about, but you do have to go back to the drawing board, and hopefully you got something for yourselves. Now, we have gotten word that Dorado is going to be on that blue side, so a little bit of a shift. Maybe you don't have to ban out so many ADCs. If you want to try and grab one for yourself, that is an option. At the end of the day, though, this is going to leave a lot of counter pick options for the Crab Wranglers, something that obviously they use, I think, 1 or 2, namely that brand, to get in there, and also that Ornn. They got to mix it up a little bit in there. So some of these pieces, well, I say Ornn, even though Ornn was blind pick technically, but we'll see how it plays out here. Final bans, though, I'm kind of curious. Are we going to see the likes of an Ezreal ban from Crab Wranglers, considering they grabbed it on their blue side?
Yeah, I completely think that that's why Dorado probably said we want the blue side. Blue side was given to Wranglers as per the schedule. So blue side has been coveted across so many different regions, so many different teams will see that B1 is just make or break for the start of the draft. Because when you're grabbing up an early Ezreal, both 80 carries play it. Kills is very good at it. And Dorado have proven themselves in the past in the APL to be competent teams. Like you said, the game score is 5-5. They have an even record, but the losing series that they played, they still take a game off their opponents. So that should a shocking game 1 that they just had, but going into game 2, you should keep that in mind in the back of your head that Dorado is a little bit clutch, because you can't get a 5-5 game score without that clutch factor of being able to bounce back off of a tough loss.
And that's going to be the one to really watch for, especially since the fact that at this point the game score is 5 and 6. It's a difficult one to swallow. At the same time, if they lose here, they essentially have to win the next 2 weeks if they want to secure a spot in that playoff scene. If I'm not mistaken, we are looking down the line. If you want a good spot, that is what you're aiming for. You are aiming for that 4-3 record at least, and it's a difficult one to get to. And I really want to see them move forward because, like you mentioned, this is one of the squads that brings a little bit of a mix to the table. Love the AP in the mid lane and everything like that. But for a squad that is on the verge of getting a little bit lost here, if they lose here tonight, what are you hoping they take away for week 6 and 7 on Dorado Gaming Row's side? If they lose, I should say.
Yeah, so for the teams that already have a really good record, like the Wranglers, you can kind of think, oh, what are our playoff picks going to be? Let's zero in on our approach to that. And Dorado just kind of has to take it 1 week at a time. So this game will be a testament to how can you take a tough loss and still show something promising, because they showed no signs of life in game number 1. The only 2 kills they got were the Wranglers overstepping on the weak side. That was it. So I do believe in these players. I've seen them play before. Kills is very competent in the bottom lane. He is up against a tough match in Kiora. However, Dorado can find some very good, promising moments on the Rift holistically. So we've known Billy in the past to be that tank engaged player. He's had great performances on Poppy, on Ornn himself. So scoop that up for yourself. Grab your mid in the first 3 so there's not 100 mid bans coming up when you're trying to secure yourself one of your comfort mages, right? Because he's Nightmare's great at Syndra, great at Hui. Grab that stuff early, I guess, because if Corki is the next tier down, and that kind of makes your composition a lot harder to play because you have no CC, no engage tools. And then again, that underlying issue of when we're going Braum, we can't have Ivern in our draft, right? Cooper is absolutely competent on fighters like Wukong and Xin. These champions might not be A tier or S tier, but if you're good at the champion, you should pick the champion.
Go ahead, go for that comfort. And right now we are seeing comfort banned away. However, one of our thoughts was Wranglers, are they going to ban out the Ezreal? No, it is picked up by Dorado Gaming's side. They deemed the Ashe a lot higher priority, which again, actually really like. However, consider in the previous draft, I do believe Ashe was left open, and Wranglers still opted for the Ezreal instead. This time around, they gave it over. Are they going to grab the Jinx though in response and almost give Dorado Gaming a taste of their own medicine? That could be a huge point. Now, keep in mind, Wranglers will not have that brand to play with this time around. It was banned away. Dorado Gaming rightly banning that one, but the Zeri, which has been seen as the up and coming style against the Ezreal, is going to be matched.
Yeah, and normally when you see these two champions in a draft, you think, oh, which one's going mid, which one's going AD carry? Are they both going mid? However, with these two teams, from what we know from Outrage and Nightmare, a lot of the mage players of the roster, not a ton of AD mid laners. Corki and Trist were the only ones in the meta, and those are the only ones we've seen from Nightmare and Outrage. So I expect both of those champions to be piloted by our favorite bot laners, and that's an early Volibear lock for a singular again, like that's just right up his wheelhouse. I like this from Dorado though, scooping up the Maokai, something that Cooper has already shown promise on, but they have some go buttons. We have some life to the team.
It might be a tier go button, but it's a go button nonetheless. There's the S tier. Bring it on home. Literally grab what worked against you in the bottom lane last time, and that's a great one to lock in. So far, a much better draft in our opinion from Dorado Gaming. Here's the issue: Wranglers, we know they can bring some silly stuff out. They know how to play around that meta, but they also know that there are meta options as well. You bring the Nautilus, the Zeri, it can be such a power play if you delete the Leona Ezreal in the bottom lane, and that Volibear brings a punch as well. So first draft side feeling good. Wranglers still don't want to deal with the Yone.
Yep. As we're approaching those ban phases, trying to pinch out the other mid lane pools. I love these first 6 picks. Like, they're just so fun. Bot lane's going to be an absolute fist fight. Jungle, they only need 3 camps, and then you can just fist fight. So I expect to see, again, if the skill is close, if we can keep up with our hands, this one's going to be an absolute banger. We're going to have some life from both teams. There's a lot of punches to be thrown.
Yeah, and I can't remember if Aurora is actually enabled or not this time around. I think it is. So, you know, hey, do it for what you will. But that is going to be a mid lane ban. The Ornn coming right back into it, which I think is more than fine. For Wrangler's side, I mean, the Ornn played a very effective role in that top lane, still very tanky, and we saw can almost duel out some of the others. I mean, when you can play an Ornn like it's meant to, which is tank, assassin, support, you know, bruiser, DPS, whatever you want to do, it's going to look good on paper.
Yep. No, I completely agree. And you look at Wrangler's team comp again, and that is just a terrifying team comp to play any squishy in. So I like that Dorado has scooped up the Ezreal for themselves. That is one of the safe marksmen that can get away with that. And speaking of top lane counter picks, but we've seen this Ornn go, like, where's the Ornn going? Okay. So, like, let's just keep that in the back of your head. The Wranglers might have cooked something up.
That scares me. I mean, we see the Nautilus top lane and then Zeri Ornn bottom lane because Ornn used to play support, by the way. That is a wild statement that I cannot believe is actually true. Right now, though, the go buttons are building up on Dorado Gaming. They literally heard you, Jordan. They're taking it in mind, literally face value. I very much appreciate it. And another go button as well, if you want to call it one, the Azir with the shuffle, if given the opportunity, can round things out nicely. At this point, it is 5 go buttons on Dorado Gaming, literally 5 more than they had in game 1.
And it looks like we're looking at a different team on the left side. Oh, we're gonna crazy. Okay, I'm not gonna draw attention to it.
No, we don't talk about that.
But Dorado has completely shifted gears. They said absolutely not. We're not doing a repeat of game number 1. We are going to fist fight on the Rift at times that suit us. And now they have go buttons on every player. They have safety on the carries, which again I think is very important because kills on the Jinx against a Malphite and an Ornn and all that unfair stuff without flash. Like there's nothing he can do to get damage off in a fight. So I love this look from Dorado. I think they've got good damage spread. They've got good agency on the map. So the question is going to be, is Dorado going to be a team that is going to make a deep run in playoffs? Because this is sort of the preview. You're up against the final boss, right? Like this is the trial run, and let's try it again later on, right? Like let's meet them there. That is a Tom Kench on the R5 orbital. Where are these champions going?
I don't know either. I'm sitting here going, listen, you can send Ornn mid, you can send a top lane. I mean, I'm taking a look, and either way, it's going to be melee once again. Literally the same situation that Crab Wranglers were in game number 1. Now, here's the big difference. Once again, Dorado Gaming have vastly more tools to work with. This is not going to be a sit and farm lane. This is going to be Crab Wranglers better be ready to duel at points that they probably are not comfortable with. The Tom Kench, though, still screams to me that Kiora is going to be that mainstay in the bottom lane. This is 4 tanks. This is 4 setups to let the Zeri run free and run with abandon, which I actually really do like. My only thing is I think Tom Kench can get a little bit messy in the lane, maybe in the top lane if you want to try and grab that Camille whenever they go in, and maybe just let the Ornn fly on their own against the Azir and just pray to God you can still get experience and all. Still though, it's gonna be silly, it's gonna be fun. Crab Wranglers always love to surprise us. I think this first lock-in though, I'm gonna keep talking until Stubby locks in their champion, and that's what's gonna tell me who's going where. So for Billy, we know you're grabbing all right, be silly all you want, steal away the champion. That is going to Camille in the top lane. Here's where things get messy. This is the big one that we are wondering about.
My money's on Tom Kench top. Oh, it's Volibear top. Who is jungle? Nah, they're gonna do some weird
They did
trading
this
thing.
last time.
I'm not believing it. I'm not believing it until I see the trades at the 20-second mark, because I think they're having a little bit too much fun right now. Until I see the Ornn jungle, I'm not gonna believe it, because I think Volibear is very good at jungling. If I was to think of the optimal place where these flex picks could go, Camille loves playing into Ornn as that stylistic counter pick, because Camille can have a bit of a scaling advantage when she gets those 2 items, and she has like a pretty clear path to those 2 items because Ornn is not this like oppressive lane bully. Tom Kench is. Tom Kench dominates in the top lane, 1v1 for the first like 9 or so levels, and Camille doesn't have tools to deal with that. So if I was to ask myself, where did Wranglers find their edge? I think that Tom Kench with the flex to the Ornn mid lane is maybe what the Wranglers are going for some kind of giga draft edge. Now on the side of Dorado, they have a lot of ways to delete one person. So if they can point all of those things at Zeri, maybe we've got a game on our hands.
I think they can do more than that. I mean, if you take a look down the line, unless Volibear gets fed, unless the Tom Kench gets giga fed, I mean, you can literally just hop over a lot of the players on the side of Crab Wranglers. You can legit just jump away and be, hey, we're not worried about you. We have the Hextech Ultimate, and we have the Azir Shuffle. We have the Solar Flare. So many pieces in there. However, remember, in the previous game, we did see a lot of the issues arise with Crab Wranglers getting a lot of advantages in the early game. So just like you mentioned, that Tom Kench can be that annoyance that Billy is not allowed to go chase down the Zeri, not allowed to chase down the Volibear or anything of the sort. However, at the current moment as well, there are so many howevers, there's so many buts, there's so many pieces here.
Yeah, I'm just
eyes. Yeah, everyone just kind of zip. Listen, we see all the champions on there. The top 3 for Crab Wranglers, we do not care. There's still 30 seconds in the draft. We'll wait and see where it goes. My thoughts are, of course, as you can see, that that Volibear sitting in the jungle, whatever. I want to ask, are we going to see a shift? Like, I know we need to see one, but for Dorado Gaming specifically, with this new composition, do you feel it's enough to give them that edge of we need to fight and we feel like we can fight?
I do believe so. So if I was to ignore the shellacking that was game 1, because that can kind of tilt a player, that can put a team in sort of a quiet mood, and that's not what you need right now. but the composition is completely different. You can actually win a lot of these lane matchups, which feels really good. Like it felt like last game they didn't have any winning lane matchups just from draft, like how they should play out. They lost priority many different places. They lost some kills many different places, but then you don't even have a good mid game to look forward to. I think Dorado has both in this composition. So I think this game is actually going to be one that, assuming players can, you know, keep a calm mind and play their best league, I think Dorado actually took the win in draft in this one.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Now, coming from a coach's perspective, because I know that you sit in there, you also have some teams that you work with on the side. My thought is, how much of a game like game number 1 can affect the players? Like, how much goes into that? Because that was rough. No two ways about it. How bad can it get? Can we just see like a massive implosion of mentals in these situations?
I think at this level of play, I think there has to be at least one voice that is just joking around. Like at that point, when I was calling out what the Corki was doing when he was sneaking the dragon, when the game is like over, but he got the dragon. Like if he's like, guys, I got the dragon, it's winnable. Like kind of like everyone knows it's lost, but like silver lining and keep the comms healthy and in a good mood. I think it's absolutely bounced. Like you can come back from that. You can erase that kind of thought in your mind. But if everyone's quiet, I'm really worried because no one's gonna play their champions the way they need to. So I think that's what it is. If it's like a library in there, I'm really worried. I would be excited for this game because you have a lot of buttons to press. It's not incredibly hard. Having a good game on Maokai is one of the easier tasks, right? You've got one of your best champions in the Ezreal and Leona. Like Dorado has ran this bot lane specifically before. They've succeeded on this bot lane specifically before. So you back to your bread and butter. We even found a mage for our mid laner. A lot of cheese on the other side, okay? Wranglers, they're doing some crazy stuff, but we can persevere, come together as a team, and click on Azeri. We can do it. I have faith.
I do too, at least to click on him. Now, are you going to survive long enough to kill this area? That's a whole different story. Because we got Ornn in the mid lane. We do have it locked down now, and that is going to be Stubby on that Tahm Kench in the top lane. How is that Ornn versus the Azir? How does that work out? Is it any good? Because considering you flex at the last moment, that was an R4 Ornn. Do you think that's going to be okay in the mid lane?
I think it's going to be an exact repeat of what we saw with the Malphite, where the Ornn is going to take a small L in CS or whatever that looked like. I think Corki had like a pretty free lane, like he was getting chunked at times, but it didn't amount to much. And then Ornn hits level 6 and then can facilitate the jungler, right? Like I think they're trying to reverse the script of what we saw previously. It was singular bread servicing the lanes. It was just I'm sacking everything for my lanes. And I think when you draft these kind of compositions, I think you're trying to reverse that. Of we actually want to see singular bread on more of a carry role. This is much more of a carry Volibear than you're used to seeing. You pick Volibear in a composition, you're saying we have go buttons, we have early damage, I can pick Silas and Volibear can play for me, right? That's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing like tanks in the mid lane. I don't understand Wranglers meta read at all. I don't know what they're going for. I don't think this is pure cocky or we're undefeated. We just want to see what we can win with. They're trying to push the limits of what's possible. But I mean, let's play some League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like solo queue all over again. So let's get into the game here. It is going to be 4 melees in Azeri against the likes of Dorado Gaming. Very standard composition on that side. I am terrified. Stubby, thank God you bought items. I saw no items as you were about to leave the base. I got scared. So this is going to be a little bit of a mess. Keep in mind in the early stages as well, Dorado Gaming did opt for a very slight invade just to get a little bit messy to see what they can throw down. And maybe Adam tries to do the same. Of course, eating a mystic shot early says, nope, not going to deal with that one. Gonna walk my way back down the bottom lane. We're going to get a pretty standard start to the game.
Yeah, so as we talked about before, top lane looks a little bit difficult for Billy. He's up against that counter pick Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench will dominate that lane matchup as expected. And then this time around, we've got a much more volatile jungle matchup. So instead of full clear versus full clear, we're actually playing 3 camp junglers that can really skirmish. Will they look to full clear right away? Maybe, but expect a lot more action specifically around that bottom lane. Nautilus, Leona, there's gonna be fighting. There's gonna be hooks thrown. There's going to be Zenith Blades thrown. And is Just Cooper going to be able to find an edge here in that bottom lane? Or is it going to be Singular Bled and the Wranglers really coming out ahead in game number 2?
Oh, it's a hard one to think about. Of course, Bang and Billy is just like, yo, let me dance a little bit. Let me show off my stuff, flaring it up with the legs. And of course, both top laners also missed out on their first
This is
ability.
gonna,
So you're
this
like,
is gonna be rough.
dang. Yeah. So the extra auto attacks as well from Stubby just feel great. Are you gonna get the stun down? And now it's gonna time out. Oh, just in time to get another look off. So Stubby gets a, about what? That's like 15% HP lead.
Yeah, but Camille's already missing out on the melee CS, so her lane phase, her game, the reason they picked Camille is a lot different. Stubby is absolutely going to dominate this lane.
It reminds me of all the memes going out about top lane. It's like mid lane you can lose a life and still be able to farm, and top lane it's like you miss one trade and you're screwed for the rest of the game.
Yeah, you haven't seen your minion wave in 15 minutes. Yes, I've seen that too. It's a good one.
It's a painful one. I mean, I played top lane before, and it's just like, bro, I'm 0-0-0, yet I got Flamed Horizon twice, and my top laner is destroying the rest of the team. Like, bro, help.
Yep. So Induce already taking control of the mid lane. This is what we expect to see. The Ornn's going to take a bit of a hit in terms of CS and HP, but again, he's playing Singular Bread's game as both junglers are opting into path to top side, but Just Cooper is done with his camps, and he said, I'm going to look for a gank top.
And I like that call down. I mean, Stubby has been trying to mess around a little bit too much. Because of that, you're caught. There ain't no way to run. You have no pool as well. However, you might be able to get under tower thanks to the gray health. You're able to shield a lot of extra damage, and you are able to stay safe. However, difficult one. You lost your flash.
Yeah, we're going to call that a win for Dorado, but is Singular Bread going to turn it back on his head? Here he comes in the top lane.
Oh, maybe you can get it. Nah, it's just gonna wait around mid lane though. Outrage is getting some good damage, and so far the trades have been there. However, what you were talking about, Singular Bread chasing in to the enemy side jungle, maybe didn't win in the 2v1 situation on top, but you were able to force your enemy jungler out of range, and now Bang and Billy is in a dangerous spot. Electricity comes down, shocks you enough, and those are just red buff auto attacks that Bang and Billy can't do anything either. Just Cooper tries to go back to farm, and just as well, Dorado Gaming got a lead on top. It is quickly ripped away.
Yeah, Singular Bread having really good knowledge of his jungle matchup to know that if Just Cooper is going to skip camps, he is going to be vulnerable. So trading the pressure in the top lane, and Singular Bread going to grab a camp lead for himself. He's going to get the counter jungle off, and also effectively a gank onto Billy there, chunking him and forcing him back to base.
You hate to see it. And at the same time, I mean, Just Cooper is like, yeah, I can't base right now. I need to finish off these camps. I need to get good spacing here. And you are going to be able to do so. You get the bottom lane scuttle. You're going to be okay in that sense, but Singular Bread, heavy lead in the camp count. And once you clear out those Krugs, you're going to be happy to recall, maybe look at the bottom side Dragon, as Kiora and Adam have been able to free farm up, kills that try their best to pressure, but so far the Zeri has about a wave lead.
Yeah, we'll see how much Kills is able to grab that. He just wanted to base for his early tier. If this wave does crash, you are absolutely right. And Singular Bread is going to feel really good picking up that blasting one. We are actually going to get a bit of AP on this electric bear. I wonder if it's going to be the Rod of Aegis build, if that does indeed build out a blasting one. It might be the Rod of Aegis Navori build that we've seen so much in the top lane. Might be piercing into the jungle.
I think it does now. However, I like that call down. Just, hey, go for that raw damage. Instead, I might be dueling out, especially around these early objectives. So might as well. And it's a nice little pickup. You got the boots behind as well. So Just Cooper is going to be a very slow lumbering tree. You went for those ashes early. So those saplings are going to be doing some damage. Either way, the Dragon, Mountain to start, not really worth investing your entire life for. But if you so wish, the grubs are on the other side.
Yeah. And sort of the scientific experiment that we get to perform here as we sort of watch the game unfold is it worth it to send jungle pressure to a losing lane? Oh, and as I say that, Kills is absolutely getting ran at. Ignite dropped, a lot of damage done. The dust will fade on that one, and he's going to be a little worse for wear there. Zeri has already recalled, so this lane state will remain for a while. Adam taking a little bit of damage there. Another hook, pretty close to tower, but it's looking pretty good on the side of the Wranglers. So
I mean, the camera just...
gank.
Yeah, I mean, the camera can't really keep up with the fact that 3 simultaneous plays were made. Bottom side, it was a 2v2. Mid lane was a gank from Singular Bread, I believe. And top side was Just Cooper looking for a chance. But the difference is that Singular Bread is hunting for a chance on those grubs. Bot side, we're seeing a dance as well, but take a look at this. Just Cooper trying to get into the mix, but Bang and Billy has to run, and all of a sudden Singular Bread has freedom. Look at the knockup coming in here. You have no flash on the Maokai, and this is going to be a lashing of lashes. That's first blood for Singular Bread.
Yeah, Dorado just kind of walking into the grub site, maybe assuming Singular Blood wasn't interested, but you see it's just nothing but red wards in the topside river, and Just Cooper going to be rolled up on without his flash, going to be taken down because of it at the expense of the full grub camp, so that is officially a tragedy on the map for Dorado.
You hate to see it. Even in the mid lane, there's going to be a dance. Oh, you flash and still get hit. And Singular Bread, literally gold-plated platter to get a second.
Yeah, and that's just the Wranglers. We know why they're on top of the APL, but we're getting reminded on your screen here. Singular Blood playing the carry volley bear this time. We're seeing an Ornn mid. What can't this team play? Their flex picks are actually effective, achieving a lot of victories in the draft phase. As you see, this Camille matchup is absolutely unplayable. Stubby is owning the top lane. As I say that, Billy will try his best to stay competitive in CS by collecting this large wave, but it's rough.
I mean, that wave is what, 10 tops? Of course, on the bottom side, we're seeing a little bit of a difference, a little bit of a catch, and Adam is like, yo, if I was level 6, you would have been dead. This difference is starting to build up. 200 gold for Kiora. Top side, almost 1,000 gold, just 200 off in the jungle, well into the 900 range, and in mid lane, it's a 500. This is building up into even more so. As Adam realizes this might be a little bit dangerous, in comes that growth, and it's going to be a good body block, trying to get your ADC out and alive. Of course, Adam might go down here, but Singular Bread is going to turn it around, and Adam's going to sacrifice your life to try and bring the thunder. Sky bring a Singular Bread, tries to hold on here, but in comes Induce. Solar Flare lands on one, and what a catch, flash away from the shifting sands, and it's only going to be Kiora to stay alive. Well played by Dorado Gaming to grab 2 in the bottom lane.
Yeah, really positive play coming in from Dorado on the map. I thought it was looking really grim, and then Induce just comes in with a great combination. Kiara, great flash on the backside. I do have to shout him out for the mechanics on that. But Wranglers do lose 2, trying to play a little bit fast and loose in the bot lane.
That hurts. That hurts a lot, and honestly, for this squad that knows how powerful an Ezreal can be, Crab Wranglers have to be like, okay, they got one over us. They brought a lot of people down. I mean, Induce literally walked from mid lane, sacrificed some of the plates for it. So, you know, you give it a little head nod of respect on the Wranglers and say, okay, back to the drawing board. We still have a lot in our favor. We still have the top lane in our favor. Mid lane still has really good gank potential. And our Volibear is stacking. Like, we are getting kills on Volibear. When you're running Rod of Ages, you are going to be fine, is what they're thinking. For Dorado Gaming, though, where do you want to apply yourself next? Where do you want to look towards next? Oh, as I'm talking.
I think you're looking away from this Stubby Tom tent.
Oh, just out of range. Stubby was going to be a god right there. Booty Bang and Bill, he is very happy that they were able to live there.
Yeah, but again, it's just another tough recall. Has to teleport back to lane, most likely to stay competitive in XP and CS, and just can't really service his team the way you would want to on this, what he thought was going to be a counterpick Camille with the Ornn shifting into the mid lane. Ornn is doing great there in the mid lane, just stacking MR against a Maokai Azir feels absolutely awesome. So he's going to be able to pick up a lot of CS and stay even in XP, so the ornaments will be a factor later in the game.
I love the fact that they specifically said in this patch, they were like, yeah, we want to nurse some of the MR items currently available in the game because it just feels too good building it. And Outrage is like, I don't really care. Like, I'm fine. Thanks, guys. I'll keep building it, and I'll keep crushing it. Of course, a catch on the bottom side was attempted, but Kiora knew well and truly that you can't go anywhere if you're not by a wall. So you're pretty safe there. Top side, though, a little bit of a slap as Bang and Billy gets ganked on as the grubs are going to spawn once again. If they are spawning properly, though, that'll give 6 over to the side of the Wranglers, and they will have full control over a majority share, actually all of the global objectives so far in this game.
Yeah, the Wranglers is doing what they do best, and Singular Blood gets to walk where he pleases with 3 lanes sort of able to activate and play aggressive when appropriate. But the story of this early game is absolutely Stubby just running away with this top matchup.
It's just painful is all we can really say. I think the good thing about this is Stubby is not on a champion that can overwhelm everyone. Of course, the bottom side is where the overwhelming is coming out. Kiora just getting CC dumped on, and it works. Sometimes you gotta land it all to bring the pain, and you are going to find it. Well done with the 2-piece in the bottom lane for Dorado Gaming. On the top lane, though, Bang and Billy is going to eat a lot of that damage. Double knockups on either side, as that's gonna be a flash in. No flash for Induce. Get that hammer. It's going to be a dub. Outrage is able to solo out in a 1v1. Bang and Billy gonna get electrocuted here. Flash away though to stay safe. And just as Dorado Gaming gets a dub on the bottom side, top side is going to be first brick.
Yeah, really nice for Outrage to get that solo kill in the mid lane. Dorado also great play, good proactive play coming in from them. I wouldn't have believed. Wait a minute.
Oh no. Oh, Tower doing work. Just Cooper paying Outrage in spades right there.
Oh no, Wranglers getting way too ahead of themselves. They are not 10,000 gold ahead the way they were in game number 1. So Dorado, I want to commend them already. Like we said, bouncing back is absolutely possible, and the composition that they gave themselves has so much more to it in terms of go buttons and what to do. Just Cooper is really isolating this bottom lane and saying, I will get my Ezreal ahead, and so far he's absolutely executing on it. And Billy trying his best on the weak side, falling really far down in CS, but has yet to fall despite the tower dive attempted by the Wranglers and Singular Bread.
Of course, all that being said, we want to see Dorado Gaming start to get proactive on their own. They have lost out on a majority share of all the global objectives, so the kills that they have gotten, it's really just placating them. You take a look, the gold lead is still in favor of Crab Wranglers, and these camps. Kills is the only one to really, it seems, think about the idea of a dragon could be taken. Of course, Sunrise on the other side looking for that catch. They find it, shuffle in. Kiora has no barrier, but has flash, and you're safe. I was just going to talk about that one, but now Sunrise in a dangerous position. Dragon is now taking it. Adam was able to jump away. That's just a straight up solo kill. Knock up on Just Cooper, who tries to flash away and is able to be safe. However, what an attempt. Crab Wranglers keep their ADC alive, and Kiora is a master of getting it away.
Yeah, that's really sad for Dorado. I really like the creativity, avoiding running at Singular Bread at the Dragon and actually trying to isolate Kiora in the mid lane. Good combination out, but if you don't think about every single opportunity, in this case, the top lane TP coming in from Stubby, the play can bite you in the bum, and Adam able to collapse on that one, and they bounce back.
I mean, the kills at this point do not matter because Crab Wranglers are just like, we're taking everything. We don't even care if you take this tower. We already got first brick. However, Outrage says, nah, it's mine. I'm going to get some damage down. I'm getting 4v1, which is understandable. We know Sunrise is there as well, and I am the tank. Because of that, it's a hard push in the mid lane, and this is split push game that you don't want to play against a 6 Grublings team. Not only that, Herald behind it, which means the rest of Dorado Gaming have to get to that mid lane. But I love this call. Outrage is going to deny Induce from going in and recalling. Tower going to be broken up. What a catch. Out come the Vines, but it doesn't catch Kiora, who is able to get away and free fire on the back side. Adam is going to go down, but one solar flare. You catch him out pretty dang well, and they are annihilated. It's another kill granted to Booty Bang and Billy, as Singular Bread has to run for the hills.
Yeah, we see the difference. Hang on. I thought I was about to see another Ornhorn, but he already used that one. So Wranglers, you get to see why they're the top team. Their macro is just so much further ahead than the other teams. Dorado opening mid there, like you said, against the 6 Grub Rift Herald team. To boot, they just Herald down mid. Just Cooper, and he's getting invaded by, you know, that's the Tom Kench. From the river to the macro.
Yeah, it's just, it hurts. It hurts watching. It's pain all the way around, and you know the macro is good because I think Stubby is so far ahead of Tom Kench. Commanding this much presence in the lanes forces Dorado Gaming to be like, yo, we're getting kills, but at what cost? Every time we get a kill, it feels like something else is falling on the map, even though we're up against 4 melees. I love the fact that you pointed it out that Crab Wranglers are just playing the map extremely well. My only thing is, are you going to keep playing at such a dangerous pace and allowing some of your champions to get caught out? Because those kills can add up after a little bit if you're not careful. Stubby, realizing that one firsthand, is Bo3 meaning Billy is allowed to actually duel out at a decent pace, especially with that Triforce.
Yeah, no, the potential is there, and I want to commend Dorado this game for actually executing on some of it. Just Cooper and Sunrai have been finding a lot of opportunities compared to game number 1, so it just speaks volumes of the adjustments that they made, and that is just going to feel absolutely amazing for Kiara. Snipe it away. Just Cooper can't really play right now. The Wranglers do strangle the map really, really hard, and Outrage is going to walk out of that one. Free cooldown given.
Oh no. I thought the E was already used, but I love the fact that you use the term kind of strangling. It's a suffocation factor. This feeling of no matter what we do, it's going to be a difference. As again, first is Stubby, now it's Outrage, just missing a lot of their abilities here. That's going to be the Hextech ultimatum, though, as the overstep has once again caused a death. Huge bounty handed over to Bang and Billy as they're allowed to capitalize and get back some much needed gold.
Yep. When you do look at things at the end of the day, Stubby going down there, he does have the teleport, so it's not going to amount to any sort of objective. Billy is going to be unable to actually secure the top lane tower or anything of that nature. So again, it is just a kill. The gold is still not close right now, and the Dragon, Wranglers have done a really great job of switching their weak side to the top lane and bringing a lot of their members down for this Dragon.
Let's see what we can do here. Of course, for the time being, Dorado Gaming just, you know, they're getting kills, they're getting a little bit more. The main thing, though, is I want to see those global objectives. I want to see them fight for this Dragon. That was a big part of why they lost in game number 1. They tried to fight for Dragon, and it went very much sideways, and this time around, they have the go buttons. They have a lot of go buttons, actually, and they can make the life of Crab Wranglers absolutely painful. So how do they go about this? Massive wards laid down outside of the Dragon Pit, but everything inside is currently contained by the Wranglers. So many options to see where anyone else is going. That's going to be a chance at a knockup, and they catch the Leona. I'm not sure if they want to dive straight in, though, as Sunrise is actually quite tanky. Kiora is the one that we want to watch for. In comes the Vines of Glory, but they're going to jump on it. Finally, Bang and Billy is in, but that's going to be the kill number 1. Volibear is out. Solar Flare lands perfectly in the back line, but can they do so? The bottleneck is just too strong, and Kiora is still untouched. That is wild, to say the least, but now you step up a little bit too far. Adam is now going to go down. What a devour to keep Kiora alive, and maybe he can do so. Look at the Zeri pumping out damage. Another knockup is going to be chasing the back line, but Kiora is going to go down here. Kills is going to chase into the back side, and Stubby will be the final one to rest. One more auto attack could get Sunrise, and you do. So at least it's not all for nothing, but a 3 for 4 for Dorado Gaming in a wild turn of events. I cannot believe it was that close at the end of the day.
And that is Dorado taking on the #1 team in the APL and actually beating them in the first mid-game team fight of the game. What we're seeing there is the Wranglers getting a little bit hasty, saying, we've got the bigger wallet, we've got the engage, let's pick anyone as a target. You picked Leona. Oh, and just as I say that, Singular Bread going to take the final prize, but we're still going to highlight that Dorado absolutely dismantled Wranglers and team fought better than them. When you're running this one threat comp and the Zeri is only sitting on a static shiv, you don't have this damage that you can just cut through the front line that is the Leona. I think the targeting was the issue there for the Wranglers, and Dorado did such a good job to kind of throw bodies and threat at Kiara, making sure that he couldn't just free fire. I thought it was a really good Tom Kench ult by Stubby. You don't normally see that from the top lane Tom Kench. He usually plays like a diver. So I thought that kind of almost salvaged the fight, but Dorado comes out on top.
Now keep in mind, we have the Navori Quick Blades done. Singular Bread is starting to get as strong as you possibly can. This is going to be a catch, though. Once again, it's Sunrise and Just Cooper, but with the ultimate used early, that does allow a little bit more of a chance to split everyone up, and this is what Crab Wranglers want. You want a split team fight. You want everyone on the side of Dorado Gaming alone, and this is how you kill them. Crab Wranglers find the stragglers, take them all down. It is not a front to back like Dorado wanted, and it is a decimation of 3 from Dorado Gaming. Crab Wranglers aim straight at Baron.
Yeah, when Dorado played the organized team fight, come into us at the Dragon Pit, and we're going to fight you on fair terms, they actually came out ahead. And the Wranglers, they're just known for pushing the pace at unpredictable times. So they just absolutely flooded the top side with numbers, and Dorado were absolutely not ready. Threw out all their cooldowns once again, but this time they come out on top, and that's going to be Baron #1.
And I almost want to say that's the power of the Crab Wranglers. The idea of if we see one or two of them, we will have to fight. And it was, remember, just Cooper with this, with the vines, with this overgrowth. It's a very large ultimate that you need to keep in the back storage. If you see multiple members, it's a great deterrent to keep Induce and Kills alive. But if you notice how early the Maokai had to ult, it was that fear, that terror that Crab Wranglers have Induce. And that is something to talk about. Crab Wranglers have that ability to strike fear in an opponent to cause you to almost overanalyze what could happen, and it feeds into their strength. At the current moment, gold lead ballooning out of control, 4K now for the Wranglers, and it's only going to get worse as in 2.5 minutes it is going to be another dragon. This one a massive one to hang on to. It is the Ocean Soul to gather.
Oh, here comes Adam.
Boy.
There's no damage on this side, though. I wonder if Stubby actually has the damage to kind of take him down. But as we speaking about damage,
Jesus.
so
Yeah, there's the damage for you.
That one, yeah, absolutely. But these weak side members kind of forcing in an inappropriate spot, if you will. But here comes the teleports.
Oh, this can get messy. Adam is going to be the recipient of a death first, but look at Outrage trying to get in the middle, and in comes a very pissed off Bear saying, yo, don't hurt my teammates. Kiora gliding over saying, what's up, folks? I'm Tony Hawk. Watch this move. Grabs a kill on Sunrise, and another knockup is not going to come through, but it's a chase that is the fear. Induce has to run away, but stands in the middle of the electrocution, so you are slowed and denied. The fastest collapse of some of the bulkiest members in League of Legends is arriving from Crab Wranglers, and the flash out from Induce I don't think is going to be enough, but thankfully you get underneath this tower and you are safe. However, you dove on on Dorado Gaming's side, you dove for an Adam, and you got the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, yeah. Wranglers putting their stamp on this game once again. Honestly, a really great showing from Dorado so far. But the snowball is here. The snowball is rolling, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon.
Nope. And that worries me, because at this point, Crab Wranglers have to realize, and should have most likely knew for quite some time, that they are in the lead. Where do they go from here? Because we know as soon as they get a lead, they tend to just start pressing. They start to get really in the face of everyone. I mean, I assume Dragon is next, but where do they want to start pressuring next?
Yeah, this is where the game gets actually really easy for the Wranglers, because there's this massive objective, Dragon Soul, that's gonna be like a magnet for all 10 players on the Rift. If Dorado are willing to give this one, they've got to itemize anti-heal, which is gonna feel really bad for all of their economies. So you would expect Dorado to at least try to posture just Cooper in a spot that he can make a steal, but he doesn't even have flash, so it's looking really bad, or it's looking really grim, excuse me. So is Dorado going to be able to muscle their way in here? Is this going to be the final team fight of the game, or is Billy going to find some kind of miraculous side lane advantages? He is marching down top lane, trying to pressure in some sense. Kiora might be baited into a weird recall here that might allow Dorado to take some space, but Wranglers are in control.
Not only that, they have the driver's seat, they have the wheel, they have the gas pedal, the accelerator, and everything of the sort. The only thing that they don't have is the final car itself. Once they get that soul, though, it's going to be a whole different ball game. Bang and Billy on the top side, trying to get as much gold as possible before they have to TP in. Just trying to cause a lot of chaos here, and they actually did draw Stubby to the top side. Now, granted, Stubby is not the one that needs to stay there, but with the Dragon already starting, it's given over. This is a wild turn of events, as with 3 members, Dorado Gaming are going to try and force a fight, but the Dragon's already taken. The soul is theirs, and you have no heal cut. You have no way to cut down on this fight, sustain, and because of that, Kiora is allowed to go forward, allowed to free farm. The electricity is rocking the Rift. Go ahead, get another E down. The W slows them all, but Singular Bread slams down the stun and says, you are not going anywhere. Kills, has flash, has barrier, but it's already used, and now you are snuffed. A final bolt strikes fear in the heart of Dorado Gaming as they get and watch a quadra kill space into Kiora's name.
Wranglers played so well around their 1 carry threat. They played well around objectives all night. Dorado tried, and it was just too little too late. They did not have the decisiveness that they needed to try and disrupt that soul. They're up against a disgusting gold lead, and it's going to be pretty rough here. Outrage is going straight for the throat, though, under the tower.
I mean, Outrage has so much in the tank to stay alive and is able to tank it out. However, you don't have the full dive ability. Stubby says otherwise, though. It says, yo, let's fight. I want a piece. Immediately flashes out. It's like, ah, crap. Maybe I stepped over too far. Baron is coming up in just a few seconds. So because of that, you want to stay alive. But Stubby is going to eat the pain and brunt of diving under the tower. True Shot Barrage comes the side. Shutdown going the way of the Camille. Flash forward misses, though. But Bang and Billy is able to get into the mix. Hextech Ultimatum. And you do find the series. That's what I was worried about. Flash forward to get into the mix. Bang and Billy might die, and they do. But it's a shutdown for Induce to get some gold back. The Emperor is crying out in strength. Another slag is a kill to kills, and they are going to bring it right back. Yes, your base may be in shambles, but maybe you get some damage. Singular Bread, though, is striking hard, and then when the bread strikes back, you know it's hot. Come down with some more electricity as that soul, the Ocean Soul, keeps the bear alive.
The Dorado team fight is no laughing matter. They're doing really well to snap back at their opponents when they finally find a way to sort of align their priorities and say, okay, it's go time. I was looking at Baron during that whole team fight because I thought it was going to be a wipe, but Singular Bread said absolutely not. Heals through all of that damage, takes one with him, limps his way out of that one, and then Wranglers control the map once again.
Oh, man. This is we said we wanted to see fight out of Dorado, and I love this moving into the latter weeks. You know you're up against a behemoth, so you play as such. I love this draft in game number 2. I love everything that they did, and I want to see them fight one more time. I want to see the squad duke it out with the best one. Don't go down quietly. Swing hard, swing strong, and swing loudly into the night. Outrage, of course, is going to make that swing look like a little bit of a bop. As the ornaments are coming through, that is going to be 4 completed, and it's gonna do some work. In comes the Horn across 2. It's an easy knock-up on the kills. Arcane shifting over the wall, but in goes the depth charge as well. Solar Flare landing on 2, but it's the tanks, and that means it's just a bloody brawl as Kiora is able to stay alive and get that kill behind. Bang and Billy tries to find Kiora and finds the slice of their life. However, Singular Bread is now a DPS in their own right. It is 3 dead in the blink of an eye. What a hook landing on Bang and Billy. It's a double kill for Singular Bread, who is now the carry, and then some. Induce getting slowed, getting chased down, electricity to slow their fall, and the Emperor can do nothing but watch as their territory is ripped apart. It's an ace for the side of Crab Wranglers, and it'll be game, set, and match for them as well as they continue on their run. 5 straight weeks of glory, 10 straight games of wins. The Clown Gamings are laughing at their own success as they lead themselves to another undefeated series.
Yep, they're winning games on Friday night and starting the weekend right. It feels so good to bulldoze through another series. Dorado's got to feel good about that one, though. The Dorado team fight is an X factor that I'm going to be thinking as we're approaching these later weeks of who's going to secure playoffs, who has the wheelhouse, because it was clear that the Wranglers were at least one step ahead of their opponents in terms of the macro game, in terms of the laning, in terms of the drafting. However, Dorado's teamwork in this particular game cannot be understated.
Those ups and down moments. Honestly, take a look at the damage as well. The damage output kind of leads into what you were just saying, Jordan. The fact that almost quite a few of the members actually out DPS in some of these total team fights, it's literally just Kiora, who output 29.3 thousand damage. It is a wild stat to have and a very nice one as well, but they were trying to keep pace. Not only that, when you saw that shift of focus going from, hey, we need to control the map to controlling those kills, you see where the Dragons went into. 8 towers to 4, 1 inhibitor grab, Baron taking 4 Drakes to their name. There's so much flexibility in these in the Crab Wranglers that it terrifies me for others that have to face them outside of this division as well. Jordan, if you had to pick someone to be terrified of, I know you highlighted Singular Bread and Kiora, but who stood out the most to you this time around?
I mean, the compositions are all about Kiora, but honestly, Outrage pulling out these, like, I want to shout out the solo laners this time, because Stubby finding his edge in this 1v1 made the game really difficult. When you look at this gold graph, it's actually a very close game. You look at the kills, it looks closer. So I like to think, what if Billy got to play fair this game? Billy did not get to play this game. You can interview him right now, and he's going to tell you, for the first 15 minutes of the game, I was a complete victim, couldn't do anything, and then still pumps out really meaningful damage onto Kiora. That's the part I want to highlight, is he was able to team fight with a very sound mind, despite drowning in pressure from the Wranglers and Stubby's counter pick, right? So it just didn't feel fair from the drafting. It didn't feel fair from the macro. So I think this game, I want to just turn the spotlight on to, in this case, the losing team. Dorado put up a hell of a fight. The gold was close, and the team fights were closer.
I love the fact you got to give props to those that stand up to giants sometimes, the Davids of the world. You know, reality has one thing, and sometimes it's just painful, but huge congrats to Dorado. You put up a huge fight in game number 2, and we appreciate it. Still, the Crab Wranglers, shout out to literally everyone. Stubby, Outrage, Singular Bread, Kiora, and Adam in the bottom side. I know you got caught once or twice in game 1. Yeah, we'll let that one slide. Right now, though, we are done for this week of games. I'm sure there are going to be games as well through Aegis across the weekend, but next week we'll continue on in the regular season, and that will start on Monday with the ADL. Make sure to tune in then at 8 p.m. as well. Of course, for us here at the APL and on the desk, we appreciate y'all who tuned in. My name is Orbital. With me has been Jordan Bott, and with Caddy on production, we wish you all a fantastic good night.